All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to this live stream. This is the first time I'm doing a live stream on this channel, which is my main YouTube channel. And I teach software development courses for those of you that don't know me. I've got over 250,000 students. We've taught a lot of people how to code and get jobs in software development. So this live stream is, I want to leave it to you guys, and I want you to ask me as many questions as you have. I want to help you guys, mentor you, career-related questions, workplace-related questions. What is a fast? The way I turned this title, this is actually to help you get a job in 2021 if you're struggling with that, or how to excel in your career, or how to get to making a six-figure salary at the shortest in the shortest time possible. Because software development is a huge space. There are so many different areas you can get into. We've got web development, there's backend development, there's Linux, there's cloud computing, there's containerization, there's DevOps, there's database development, there's reports, there's AI, there's Java development, enterprise, front end, mobile apps, and now we've got blockchain developers and so on. So there's so many different areas, and anyone that's first entering this space, it can be an extremely confusing process. And so the way I've designed my curriculum, and I've touted this on my website as well, if you go to jobreadyprogrammer.com, you can see the way I've separated it into two simple paths. I like things simple, things that work. I don't like complicated BS. So there's the database developer path where you can learn databases, practice SQL querying, master SQL language, and within 3 to 4 months, if you work hard, 2 to 3 hours a day, you should be able to land a job as a SQL developer, making, a starting salary of 60 to 70,000, and then within a year, you should be making upwards of 100,000. And the other path is Java, which is a full stack path. I talk about web development in there as well a little bit, but mostly Java development backend. We talk about Spring framework, how to build Spring applications, and then also some of the other components. Such as object-oriented design, so that's a totally different path, and that's a much longer path. But you're going to need to learn SQL anyway, so why not just start there, right? There are coding boot camps that talk about, they teach you a JavaScript path, so to speak. They teach you the basics of coding, they teach you data structures, algorithms, and then they bombard you with JavaScript frameworks, React.js, Angular, EXTJS in some cases, or so jQuery and all that. So those are frameworks within JavaScript, and it's a plethora of different choices again. So you're again confused. What framework should I go after, right? And they don't all the interchangeable language is JavaScript throughout. So you really need to learn JavaScript for front end development. But then if a new framework comes out a month or a year later, now you have to get up to speed and learn this new framework. That gets a different job, and now a year later you got to learn a new framework again. And these frameworks are very, very they're big libraries that you have to kind of learn, and you got to kind of start from scratch every time in a JavaScript world. Whereas that's why I like to stick with in software development. It depends on what you like to do, but if you want to create a startup, you might want to learn a front-end JavaScript framework, the latest and greatest, and then just hit the ground running and start coding. But if you want to get a job and start a career in the software development path, you don't want to learn something that changes every couple months, because that you're gonna have to put a lot more work in, and you're only going to be making a certain amount of money, right? So there's a couple of things to talk about. React is a library, not a framework. That's true, but they're interchangeable. What's the difference between a framework and a library? In many cases, you won't be able to find too much of a difference. Just an API, right? Okay, so let's. So don't get bogged down, Manish, by the jargon, because the jargon is where that's. Don't worry about it. Nobody cares about jargon. Let's go up in here. Let me start catching up with some of the comments that you guys wrote. Hey, Mr. Ahmad, I hope you're doing well. Thank you. Okay. All right, good vibes. All right, I'm just catching up. Let me see what you guys have to say. Any questions? Any BTC hodlers here? That's my other account. That's something totally different. So if you want, you could check that out. That's a different channel called Respect the BTC. But anyway, And the other, just sign up for your courses at Udemy, saw your multiple videos. I'm getting the signal that SQL and Tableau are the best and quickest way to land a job. And the truth is, yes, account 630, SQL is the fastest way to get a job because SQL is an operational language that every single company needs. It's a backbone of every single database in the world. It's 50 years old also. It's really old, but it's everywhere. Everywhere you can think of, every single company has a SQL developer position. How can you not learn that first? Oh my God, it blows my mind. And that's what I try to tout in some of my videos on YouTube as well. Like it's an operational thing. Like if, let's say you learn this framework and you get hired in this company and you're going to have to go through thousands and thousands of files and classes and try to figure out what's going on in this framework or this library, and you just got out of a boot camp and they're not going to tell you to, they're not going to give you any significant project right from the start because you have so much code base to go through, dude. There's a lot of study and understand how the application works. But if you learn SQL, you're operational. You can get in the business and start contributing, querying tables, understanding, creating reports, and modifying the database structures. And you're literally providing input to the company at a fundamental operational level, okay? And your job is more secure too. Whereas, and again, people that are closer to the data are more valuable to a company. If you're just a framework, a front-end developer, and you know very little about the business, because as a database developer, you have to understand the data, you have to understand the domain, you need to have domain knowledge, you have to understand where this data is coming from, how are the ETL mappings or processes are working, where the data is coming from, where it's going, how is it mapped. So that's irreplaceable knowledge for that company, okay? And managers get promoted. Mostly managers that get promoted in these types of environments they understand the data very well. They understand the domain very well, and they become irreplaceable in a company. And of course, it's knowledge that is shared through. If you master SQL once, you can get into any company and just query the crap out of it and understand how this whole application is put together. All right, so let's see what else you guys are saying. Hello from Paris. Hey Zoe, what's going on? Aloha from Hawaii. I was in Hawaii a couple of weeks ago. What a beautiful, beautiful place. I wish I could live there. I'm in Central Jersey, and Hawaii is just, oh my God, it was gorgeous. It's the only place in the world where you get beautiful mountains, rainforests, beaches, and like volcano and desert area and cactuses in the same island. It's like everything, all the different climates are in the same island. It's so beautiful. One of the most beautiful places on earth. Greetings from Argentina. Greetings. I'm looking towards getting SAS certified. Is that the wrong direction? I'm not a statistician. Account 630. It depends on what you like to do. Do you like statistics? And SAS certification, I don't know. I don't know too much about SAS, to be honest. But it's, again, a product. It's a product. Try to learn something that is more transferable of a skill. Like if you want to get into stats, definitely learn NumPy, learn Pandas, learn Python, right? These are the Pandas and NumPy are libraries. Learn scikit-learn, right? Or learn R. Those are transferable languages, and it's pretty much used in every startup you can think of that is dealing with data and statistics and AI, if you want to get into that. Don't learn a particular product and get stuck with that product. Learn a skill that is transferable, okay? All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. Nice shirt. Let me know next time you're in Honolulu. I actually went to Maui. I didn't get a chance to go to Honolulu, but I hope to visit Hawaii again soon. I hope to visit Honolulu. Greetings from Chicago. Hello, Rich. Okay, good day. What are the best certification for a software developer to have? In my opinion, and I've talked about this in my other videos, SQL certification is such a must. Because here's the thing. A lot of these coding boot camps spend like a week in SQL, and that's it. And that's such a fundamental skill that every business respects. So if you can get certification in anything else, but if you have a SQL certification, you immediately can land a job as a database person in that company because they know, okay, we can trust this guy with our data. We don't want anyone running truncate on a table, not understanding what's going on, right? Data is very important. So if you're data certified, you have a certification in Oracle, have a SQL certification course in Oracle, make sure to take that course. It's on my website, on Udemy as well. But on my website, I have an entire curriculum that you can take that prepares you in the data analyst path. So that's a must. I mean, hello from Canada. Does your program help have connections to get into FAANG? So I have a curriculum. The way you'll see there's a hiring section there. Underneath it says we help with hiring, and the way that works is it's actually a very very niche strategy that I have, where I have a network of HR guys on my LinkedIn profile. All right, and these are recruiters from various companies. They're independent recruiters, they're contractor recruiters, and they're in my inbox. So when I see a profile that passes the job ready programmer test, and I've given a couple of these tests, and some of you are doing good, some of you have failed. If you fail the test, I can't propagate your profile to all these recruiters, because then that's not good. I don't want to ruin the relationship with them. But if you pass the test, and it's usually a SQL test first, for those of you that have completed that, I'm not sure. But it's a SQL test first. That's what I want you to pass first. And that's really where I have most of these connections in enterprise Java, enterprise SQL development. So I definitely need you to pass the test. I can't propagate your profile to anyone if you're not doing your part, right? And I promise you, 3 to 4 months, it's going to take 4 months of hard work, 3 to 4 hours a day. You need to put in that hard work. And then you can land a job in one of these companies, right? So FAANG, I don't really have connections in FAANG, and to be honest, I'm not a fan of working for the FAANG, so to speak. I'm a business owner, and I'd like to, I help people open businesses too if you want, right? You don't want to be going into a company where they own your entire life. You go there in the morning at 9 a.m. and then you don't leave till 6, 7 o'clock at night. You're still there, and when you come home, you have dinner and you still have emails to check. That's a very, very unhealthy environment for you to work in. And FAANG basically provides you, they've got laundromats in there, they've got dorm rooms you can sleep in, they've got gyms you can stay, they've got pool tables, so you waste your time during the day so you can work at night. I mean, they once they get you, right? And that's what the Silicon Valley dream that people, it's really it's a trap, in my opinion. Don't go after the FAANG. Just go after a company where you can get your foot in the door, work hard, build your own startup, right? Do your own thing. After you leave the job at 5, 6 o'clock, you can do your own thing, or spend time with your family, learn a new skill. Like I take acting classes, I take singing classes. I like to work out. I have a life, right? Like, you don't go into these FAANGs thinking that, and get financially educated as well. The rest of the time after work, you should be investing or learning about investing and researching. You want to grow as a person, not just in this FAANG path. So it's really just, I don't know. Many people have different, differing opinions about that, but that's my personal opinion. Hello, happy Ramadan. Thank you. Happy Ramadan to you too. So I've joined my first job at service-based company. Okay, any tips, sir? I know the question is vague, but I'd like to keep my opinion open. So there's a book called The First 90 Days. It's a fantastic book. I think the first 60 days or the first 90 days. And in that book, it talks about what you need to do as a new employee in a new company. The first 90 days are the most important days in your time at that company. And basically, it's all about asking as many questions as you can, right? This is Emmanuel. That's a great question. What should you do? Ask as much questions as possible. When you first get a job, that's the only thing you need to be worried about, is asking the right questions. The more questions you ask, the better your questions will become. The longer you wait to ask stupid questions, the bigger of a trap you're digging for yourself. Because when you first join a company, it's understood that you just started, right? So no one's going to judge you in a negative light because you're asking stupid questions. It's expected, right? You just started. But after about 3 to 4 months, you end up getting comfortable with the people, and then you start asking questions, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you've been here 4 or 5 months now?" And that's a really stupid question that you asked. Not that they would ever say that, but those types of thoughts come to mind. So if I can give anybody that's starting a new company, a new job right now, one word of advice, and that is to freaking ask as many questions as you can, and then your questions will improve. Questions create more questions, and that will produce a pathway for you to get knowledge about the company, about the job, about what you're trying to do. So don't shy, all right? Be as stupid as possible in the first 60 to 90 days. That's your job when you first get hired, okay? No one's going to judge you, trust me, if you do that. I'm finishing my master's in data analytics. Awesome. What are the best advices for me to get that job ASAP? So the first thing is, there's in data, if you did a master's, you probably had to learn a bunch of things like R. You probably learned stats. You probably learned SQL. You probably learned I don't know, Tableau or some other data reporting tool like Cognos or business objects. I don't know, whatever it is that you probably learned. Hone in onto one or two skills, because what they teach you in a master's program is more of the overall, big picture. And they go into technicalities, but to get a job, you want to make sure you understand it. You go kind of deep into one area. And I always talk about SQL. So go into, especially as a data analyst, really get get a lot of practice with SQL, okay? And learn some other tool, like, you probably learned Python, you probably learned Pandas, NumPy. I'm not sure what curriculum you were taking as in data analytics, but I'm sure it included Python and Pandas. So you kind of have to pick. Are you going to pick a reporting tool like Cognos or something like Tableau, and then SQL, or are you going to just do AI, machine learning, stats, Python? So you have two paths there, right? Both paths are going to require SQL. Both paths. So freaking learn that first, okay? Master that. They may not have spent enough time in SQL in that curriculum because there's so much to learn. But the 80-20 rule applies here. 80% of the companies need SQL, right? 80% of the companies out there need 20% of the skill sets. And a big part of that 20% of the skills is, SQL. All right, so let's go on further with these questions. Sir, greetings from India. Hello. I hope you guys are safe. I know there's a lot of, a lot of health issues right now with this whole coronavirus thing. I'm not even supposed to use that word because I get demonetized, but I don't give a crap about the demonetization. This is a very scary time for us, so I really hope everyone is okay and safe in your country. I just started learning Flutter. Okay, so that's a good mobile app development framework. I'm halfway through it. Was it a good choice? Sure, it was. It's a little easier than React.js, and it's a Google framework. So it's easier to create UI components or whatever. But my question is, why did you learn that framework? Was it to get a job, or was it to build a portfolio for different apps that you're interested in, or to create a startup? What's see if you can answer that for me. Things forgotten. Just finished my master's in computer science. Was taught nothing about blockchain. It's unfortunate. Do you have any advice for getting into blockchain, getting a job in that field? I have a book. I don't have the book on me right now, but it's called Mastering Bitcoin. That's an excellent book. And then there's also the Bitcoin Standard. And then there's also a book called Mastering Ethereum. And so those are really the books you want to be reading. I mean, since this is a new space, we don't have as many experts in blockchain development. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you can really be the expert. You can be the early bird to get the worm, right? And that will open tremendous opportunity for you. So read those cutting edge books. Don't depend on your college or university to teach you this stuff if that's what you want to do. It's awesome to add blockchain onto your resume. Even if you're not a blockchain developer, if you're applying, just add blockchain in your resume and study up and research on it. It takes like a couple of days to create your own cryptocurrency. There's YouTube tutorials online that teach you how to create your own cryptocurrency within a day. So why don't you just go ahead and copy that tutorial and create your own cryptocurrency and call it whatever, and just so that you have something to put on your resume. Just it'll shine up your resume. Why not, right? Okay. What else? React is a library, not a framework. I agree. Hello, sir. I was a Java programmer 22 years ago. At about 20 years, I left my job due to other commitments. But now I'm 46 years old. Can I become a Java developer again? There's a lot that changed now. Yeah, a lot has changed because there were changes to the Java language as well. But the fundamentals of what Java was 20 years ago hasn't really changed much. You still have to understand design patterns. I'm sure you learned them. You need to understand um, all the fundamental design patterns. You need to know data structures, algorithms. Those are just fundamentals that you probably may have forgotten, and you have to relearn those. And then just get a new Java book or take one of my Java courses where I talk about lambdas, talk about generics. I don't know how long ago, 20 years. I think generics was already in Java 20 years ago. Yeah, I think it was already introduced. Or if not, then it's definitely part of C++ templating. So you probably learned that 20 years ago. Not sure. But all those things you kind of have to learn up again and learn about lambdas, lambda expressions, and a lot of shortcuts in the Java language as well. The API has improved, so you kind of have to learn that. But it's really just a couple of months of a new course in Java. Just take my Java course if you'd like, and that'll get you up to speed if you want to be a Java developer again. There's plenty of jobs, trust me, in Java. So how do you enter the industry as a software tester? It's hard to get in because the interview is hard. The interview is hard because as software is getting more and more advanced, like I remember 10, 15 years ago, it was very easy to get a software testing position because, if you knew how to spell Selenium, you were hired, right? Because most of the things back then, we didn't have test-driven development. I'm sure there were people developing using test-driven development, but it was just not as mature of a market. And so people were just, doing a lot of manual testing, and getting a manual testing job was easy back then. Getting a manual testing job now is career suicide. Don't even do that. If you want to be in this space, learn Selenium, learn to program well. You can learn Selenium in Python, Ruby, Java. They have libraries for each of those languages. And if you need to be a good programmer as a tester. Don't think you don't. You still need to know how to code well, right? You need to learn about databases. So learn Selenium, and you shouldn't have an issue getting hired if you approach it from that technical path. Hello, sir. I was a Java programmer 22 years ago. At about 20 years, I left my. Okay, yeah, I just answered that question, Rajesh. I took up. I took your advice, man. I ended up with a good paying data analyst job in insurance company. SQL is crucial, and you don't even have to know much else. Yeah, I mean, I would still recommend for you to continue learning. I think I talked about this in one of my videos where you learn SQL, right? And you have to focus on one task at a time. So first goal, get a job. How do you do that? Learn SQL. Learn SQL, get a job. Okay, you got that. Now on the weekends, don't just sit on the weekends, right? You kind of have to grow in your career. So learn Python on the weekends. Learn Java on the weekends, right? I got a Python course. I got a Java course. Learn Spring or whatever it is that or learn web development, whatever it is that you'd like to learn. But keep learning new things. Don't just get a SQL job and stick to that. Even though you should be fine in the next 10 years, that job is not going anywhere. But still, you want to grow. You want to grow in terms of understanding how the domain that you're involved in works, as well as all of these other technologies that keep coming up, right? Right, what else? So, Imtiaz Ahmad, what human languages can you speak natively? What human languages? That's funny. And most people ask me what coding languages I can program in. Human languages. I can speak English, although English is my second language. I can speak Python. Not Python is not something you speak, you type it. I can speak Urdu, Hindi. I can speak Punjabi. Probably Punjabi the most. But yeah, those are the different human languages that I speak. What about QA automation test engineer? Yeah, so I just talked about that earlier. Selenium is the way to go. I am teaching SQL and Tableau. I put your video in my site. Oh, thank you. Somebody mentioned I am an Ustad. That's one of my friends. Thank you, sir. Ustad means guru or something, but trust me, I'm not a guru. please don't call me that. I don't really like being called guru. SQL for data science. Okay, that you have superb class. Thank you. You like that class? In that class I teach SQL in Postgres, but we go over a variety of different queries and puzzles. I want your brain to be working to try to solve problems, and that's what that course is all about: solving problems. My company does SQL Server, but is that not? Yeah, SQL Server is a different database, right? Postgres, the one I use, is a different database, but SQL, the underlying language, is still the same. So it's about learning the language, right? So then, again, it's about transferable skills. Learn a skill that's transferable. SQL is a transferable skill. There are hundreds of different types of databases, and they pretty much all, at least relational databases, use SQL. The most popular are Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres. There's Vertica, which is I think a columnar database. There's a couple of others, tabular database or whatever. But even non-relational databases use SQL in many times. Like there's APIs for Elasticsearch that use SQL. MongoDB has libraries that can you can use SQL with that. So that SQL is a language you just gotta know, man. I'm an older dev. Went back to college and just got a BS in computer science. Awesome. However, since I started applying for jobs back in November, I haven't gotten a single call for an interview. What should I do? Again, it really depends on how you market yourself. And to be honest, I mean, sometimes there's different ways of going about doing it. There's companies out there that are they hire contractors, and they will place you, but they'll put like 4, 5, 6 years on your resume, and they'll literally lie and put your resume out there, and you will get a job like that. And that is an option, worst case scenario. But it's just many times those candidates get screwed over because they show up on the first day of the job and they don't sound like the person that interviewed because somebody else was taking their interview while they were moving their mouth. I covered this concept in another video. So that option is the worst way to get a job, but you can get a job pretty quickly doing that. It's a BS way of doing it. So if you're not, I don't want to tout that approach, but there's a lot of consulting companies that are doing that, to be honest. What you need to do is have a smart resume. For example, a technique that I talk about is, if you haven't contributed to, if you haven't worked full time at a company before, but you're coding every day on the weekends, or you're building your own stuff, are you a software developer? Ask yourself that question. You don't have a job in a company, but you're still working, you're still coding every day. Yeah, you're a software developer, dude. Don't undersell yourself. You're coding every day, right? You're coding every day. You don't have a job, but you're coding every day. You are a software developer. So put that on your resume. Yes, you are a software developer. You code every day. Understood? There's different sites where you can, freelance websites, Upwork, freelance.org. Create your profile on there, right? And on your resume, put freelance coder, freelance developer, right? And maybe create a project and do that and show that on your profile. And there are other hacks. For example, blockchain is the new big thing, right? It's hot. Anything that's trendy, anything that's hot, yeah? So create your own cryptocurrency and just put that on your resume, right? Even though you're not a cryptocurrency developer, but it takes like a couple of days to build your own cryptocurrency. There's YouTube tutorials on there. You got to know how to market yourself, right? Like the YouTube thumbnail that the different videos, like if you go on YouTube, all the thumbnails are flashy. They want to catch your attention. Even I had to do that to get you guys' attention, right? It's a BS way of doing it. It sucks because the entire world right now has a 4-second attention span. But to catch people's attention, you have to do that. And so you have to flash your resume. You have to make it stand out, even if it requires a little bit of BS, okay? Don't be shy of that. Many of my students got 6-figure jobs. Who's Badoni? Many of my students got 6-figure job. Good for you. I'm not sure who you are, but just please don't copyright. Don't copy my course and put them elsewhere. Somebody the other day emailed me saying that my courses are being copied and being sold to somebody else, and that guy's making money, so please don't do that. Okay, but here in France, if you have no degree, even if you learn SQL, we can't have a job in only SQL. So, this is a very controversial topic. Do you need a degree to get a software developer job? And the answer is you don't need a degree to get a job in software development in the US. But if you don't have a degree, you're going to have a hell of a hard time to get a job as a software developer. It's just a simple fact. The way the whole career services of any company works is they have a vetting process, and if they come across a resume that sparkles nice but then doesn't have a degree, it's not going to pass through that first filter, and it's unfortunate, right? Some of the dumbest people have PhDs, but you have to at least meet the minimum requirement for every company, and that sometimes calls for having an undergraduate degree. Have a bachelor's in something, so you can pass that first filter of an HR recruiter, because HR recruiters really don't know anything. They just have a vetting process, and they've got thousands of applications every day. So if you don't have a computer science degree, it does make it, or if you don't have any degree, you don't have to have a computer science degree, but if you don't have any degree, it makes it harder for your resume to be taken from this pile and put into this candidate profile. What the HR might not be smart enough to read that resume and understand that this guy actually knows his stuff. They might just take it because of some vetting process, throw it in the trash because this person doesn't have a computer science degree. I created a video on this as well. So just meet that minimum requirement if you can. If you can't, your options are lower, but you can still work for smaller companies in the beginning. When you get more experience, then you can always get a job in some big company, even if you don't have a computer science degree or any degree. But if you don't have experience and you're coming to this fresh, then you're going to have a hard time because the recruiters are going to get in your way, right? I'm teaching SQL and Tableau. I put your video on my site. Okay. Thank you, Adone. Hey, Imtiaz, I have taken your SQL course, Oracle SQL, and I'm more than halfway through your Master SQL for Data Science. What should I put on my resume in order to land an interview? So you want to create a couple of your own databases. In my course, I talk about how to create tables, how to formulate different relationships between tables. I talk about REA diagrams, relational entity diagrams. So you want to learn how to create your own database. Like think of something like a hospital. How would a hospital database work? Think about how a car dealership database works. I go over an example in some of the videos in my course. Think about how Facebook's database is organized, how a social network database is organized, and create that database. Once you create it, you can write it on your resume. Created a database for a hospital system. Yeah, it's not being sold, but you did create it, didn't you? Market yourself right. Put that on your resume. You created a database in this. You built this app. You have to contribute to open source software as well sometimes, If you go on GitHub, see a project, look for a project, and try to commit some lines of code there to some, or create your own repository on GitHub and try to create, a database on there, right? Have the create scripts and different queries on there. Just have some public presence, have some profile where you can show that this is the stuff that you created, and put that on your resume, all right? QED database administrator is a position related to SQL skills. Yeah, database administrator, you need to know SQL very well. But you also need to know a lot of details about dictionary tables and the underlyings of how a database works, index files, where they're stored, roles, authentication, authorization, all of those fundamentals need to be perfect. How to create user roles and stuff like that, and how to give permissions to different users. The administration part of a database, you need to have a lot of knowledge in that aspect as well, in addition to probably PL/SQL, which is procedural SQL, PL SQL. You need to learn how to create procedures, triggers, that sort of thing. So that all of those things you need to learn as to get a job as a database administrator. Database developer has a lower threshold as compared to a database administrator. One thing I do opposite to your track, I do 2 months Tableau and 1 month SQL afterwards. Was that successful? I'm not sure. Like 1 month, 1 month SQL, that also works, I guess, depending on the student, how hard they worked. But I mean, 1 month of SQL it's kind of short. I like 4 months. Like put in 4 months of SQL training. The more you know, the better you are. Hello, brother. Are your classes self-paced? Yes, my classes are self-paced. They're not live classes. They're pre-recorded courses that I built, Mustafa. So, check those out. They're on my website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. By the way, guys, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. I'm going to try to do more of these live sessions and career mentorship. Make sure to like this video. It really helps, all right? And check out the website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. As a matter of fact, let me navigate over there right now and I'll show you. So here's the website. So these are the two paths, right? I like to keep things very simple. Data analyst, software developer. I don't like a bazillion paths, okay? It doesn't need to be more complicated than it is already. All right, software development is a huge, huge space. And I don't want people to get lost in this. So 2 paths, data analyst, software developer. This path takes about 4 months, 5 months to complete. And the minimum requirement is you need to complete these first 2 SQL courses, as well as learn up and running with Tableau. All right, these 3 courses are a must to try to land a job. If you know Python, again, if you don't know it, add it to your resume. Take this course and just add it to your resume. It'll help, right? It'll sparkle your resume, and then Elasticsearch is just some extra sprinkling on your resume, right? And Apache Spark with Java. This is a big data technology where we also talk a little bit about machine learning in this. But these are some popular technologies on the bottom. They should contribute to sparkling your resume a little bit. And then these 2 SQL courses are a must-have, okay? You gotta take these 2 courses very, very seriously. They are the fundamental building block of your career as a developer, whether you're in testing, whether you're anywhere, right? Like I've had to hire people. Well, I never hired someone that didn't understand SQL. I asked them to create a database, and they just, they knew how to write queries, but they just couldn't figure out how to create a database relationship between tables. And I'm like, there's no way you're getting hired. I'm not going to trust you with this company's data, right? So the other stuff, by the way, I don't mean to shill my website here. This is not my intent. I'm just trying to show you the 2 paths. We start with Java and then master practical Java development. Object-oriented design, very, very important as a Java developer. Master Spring Boot, another huge, huge course. These 2 go, if you complete up to here, these first 4 courses, and you already know data structures and algorithms, you should be able to get a job, right? Provided that you already know SQL. You're not going to learn this and not know anything about SQL, and you won't be able to get hired that way, right? So always start here first, and then you can always transition. My goal, what I want you to do is get a job first in SQL, get hired in SQL first, and then on the weekends, learn Java, Python, and the other skills. All right, let's see what else you guys have to say. There's a non-CS background learning web technologies currently. So my question, will AI be going to reduce the human intervention in the near future? I don't know if that's going to happen in the near future, Naveen. Like AI is not going to interfere with us that soon, not near future, but within the next 10 years for sure. We're becoming more remote human beings. It's like the first step really into digitization. Like the whole concept of everyone getting together, coming to a building to work, like everyone getting together in a central location and working, is a really industrial concept. And now we're becoming more, separated through technology, because technology is easy. We look for easy things, right? And technology enables that. Humans are lazy by nature, and so if we have an option to just log into work from home, more and more people are doing that, and companies can also, they have less to worry about in terms of fixed costs in the building that they have, or the lease that they have to renew every year, electricity, utility costs, internet bills, they leave that up to the employee. So that remote work culture, especially in tech, is growing, and this, I don't think that's going to change. But AI interfering with our lives, that's already happening as we speak. I mean, this phone recognizes my face and it authenticates me by looking at my face. You know, a couple of years ago that wasn't the case. So maybe 5-6 years from now, we might be even further into AI, and it will reduce human involvement for sure. But as a software developer, you don't have to worry about that, at least for the next 10-15 years. We're in Central Jersey. I don't want to give my exact location because I don't want you guys to come to my house and start knocking on my door. Okay, dude, wish I knew I'd have shown you around next time. Yeah, Ramit, I wish I had reached out, to you if I had known you there. That'd be awesome, dude. Next time. All right, Manish, you're saying ultimately though, you'll need to have a strong foundation of DSA, which is data structures and algorithms, to clear CS interviews. Doubt that knowing just SQL will get you through, no matter how good you are at it. I agree. If you are applying for a software developer position, you're going to need to know data. You're going to need to know data structures, algorithms. That's why on my site I have this is a course. I have this as a fundamental requirement. You got to know practical data structures and algorithms. Because that is a hot topic in a software developer position. But if you're a database developer, many times, smaller companies just care, hey, does this guy know how to work with data? Can he write a dangerous query, right? And they'll ask you dangerous queries. And if you're good at it, then chances are you probably already understand the fundamentals of some data structures. You don't need to know that the difference between a red-black tree and a binary search tree to that degree, to that detail. But if you just know that binary search is, divided by half sorted list, and you work it in a divide and conquer manner, that's good enough for a database job. Software developer job, they might ask you to go a little bit further in. But believe it or not, it's not as much about data structures and algorithms. There's a secret that I'm about to share with you. It's not as much about mastering data structures and algorithms and memorizing those data structures and algorithms. You don't have to memorize those or know how to code those, because the kind of questions that you'll get are more along the lines of this. Let me take you. codingbat.com. I've showed this site before. It's such a simple site, but it's so powerful. These are the kind of questions that if you master, no data structure algorithm question is going to scare you. If you master these types of puzzles, they have easy problems, medium problems, and hard problems. Like, for example, let's go to logic 1 Boolean and look at the kind of problems they have. Given two ints, A and B, return their sum. However, teen values in the range 13 to 19 inclusive are extra lucky. So if either value is a teen, just return 19. Now this is a good interview question. It has nothing to do with data structures algorithms, but it's forcing your brain to think at a more granular level, so you can program and worry about the edge cases and think about loops and if-else statements and so on at a much more granular level to get this kind of problem right. And if you master these, if you finish all the puzzles on this site, you're going to be a dangerous coder. And even if you've never seen an algorithm before, if I just present to you a visual representation of how this algorithm works, you'll be able to actually code up that algorithm without ever having to memorize that code, because you've already gone through the ups and downs and the sticking points of your logic while working on this more granular level. And if you master all the granular stuff, then it's going to be easy for you to solve any big problem. You can think at a higher level. You don't have to worry about the edge cases and out of bounds exception type issues. All right. In an interview, in a coding interview, your best friend, let me tell you, is this coding bat. This is where you need to be practicing. Just do a couple problems every day. Do a couple problems every day. It's an awesome site. I have a bunch of my own puzzles on this course right here, called Learn Java Through Coding Puzzles and Eliminate Code Fear. This course right here actually focuses on some of those puzzles, and I present some of my own puzzles to you. So those, definitely to be good at coding, you need to be really good at the granular components. You master that, you can learn any other language, really. All right. Ultimately, okay, let me see what else you guys are saying. Things forgotten. I'm not too far over in New York. Cool. Maybe we'll meet up one day. Maybe I'll have a meetup, and you guys can join me. Hi, I completed BE in mechanical engineering in 2020. I have completed your Java course. How can I convince an employer and a job at an IT company as a software dev? Any advice? So some of the stuff I already talked about. So make sure to rewind. I talked about a couple of strategies in this video to really hype up your resume and what you can do. When you have a problem, you don't look at it as a problem. You look at it as an opportunity, right? You have to shift your focus to a solution-oriented mindset. There's two kind of people. One, that are presented a problem and they think about a problem. Two, the ones that are presented a problem and they immediately start thinking of a solution. You want to be the second type, okay? I have a video on these two types of people. Make sure to check that out. You probably find it on my YouTube channel somewhere. Thanks, I learned SQL some years ago with Java, but no way to get a job because no experience. That's fine. Like I said, I talked about this. If you're coding every day, guess what you are? You're a coder. Don't be shy to put on your resume, I'm a software developer, because you code every day. Create a profile on freelance.org or on Upwork, right? And take up on some of those projects. Even if you don't have any projects, you have a profile. Self-employed software developer or consultant. You put that on your resume, man. Okay. How about Salesforce admin? So again, Salesforce is a product. I like to stay away from products specifically. I mean, the only real product that I teach on my site is Tableau, right? And that's still a product, but it's really popping. It's a very popular one, so that's why. But try to stay away from company products and try to learn the fundamental technologies that are these are transferable skills you can use anywhere in the world. A Salesforce admin, you'll only have jobs in companies that use Salesforce. And we don't know the future of Salesforce, where it's going to be 5 years from now. We have no clue, right? And the innovation that takes place in software development is so vast and so rapid that if you learn a particular product, you can get lost in that little niche and never be able to climb out because you didn't invest enough knowledge in learning the fundamentals that are required across the board. So I try to focus on fundamentals that are needed throughout the industry so that you can pick and choose where you want to work. Yeah, so Clarence, great idea. Talk about doing projects and building a portfolio in GitHub. Yep, absolutely. Hi, Ahmad. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I'm a recent CS grad. Any idea about getting entry-level DevOps position? Thank you. So you got to really learn Linux, right? Know your Linux. Learn Docker. I talk about how to deploy a containerized application on AWS in my Spring framework. But that's just really a small part of DevOps. I don't really have a DevOps course, but really it's just picking up a Linux Bible, right? Pick up a Linux book and master that. And then you can deploy any project, really. You can learn about GitHub and all that. But a DevOps guy needs to really understand scripting, needs to learn Python, needs to learn a couple of, maybe even learn Perl, Bash. You really gotta be very comfortable in Linux and also AWS. Learn AWS, learn Docker, or other containerized container solutions. Learn Jenkins, which is a build tool if you're in Java, and there's build tools in different languages and so on. So, but really, your best friend is going to be the Linux command line, and just master that. Okay. Find a niche and get a job because everyone is studying JavaScript stack. Then that sector is saturated and difficult to get hired. Learn something and get in the industry first, then change. Adrian, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, that's very well put. The JavaScript track, the thing is, it's easy to market to newcomers in this space because you see, oh, I can create this website, or I can see this flashy graphic, I can create this, and so it's more fun, it's more inviting. It's like, you can create your own mobile app and so on. But are you really becoming a software developer? Learning how to build a Twitter clone, for example, or how to build a Facebook clone or something. those are good projects. Don't get me wrong, but they are if they're just only going to be dealing with JavaScript and you're just copying a lot of the code, it's not gonna first master the fundamentals, right? Learn your data structures algorithms, learn your how objects work, the difference between pass by reference, stuff like that. You got to understand stacks, queues, data structures, linked list, all that, how to create databases and so on. Those are fundamental skills that are only like glanced through in a boot camp where they're trying to help you create the next startup or whatever. Those boot camps are good. If you want to start a startup, if you want to create a startup, you have an idea and you already know how to code, join a boot camp to learn a new framework so you can bang it out. Sure, that's an option. But if you're trying to do that to get a job, it's not a very effective, in my opinion, way of landing a job. Sorry, that's not I don't believe that. So good point is first learn an operational skill like SQL and get hired first in a company. Web development changes every couple of months. Everything changes. All right. These libraries are constantly being updated and improved upon, and you really have to continue to learn and stay up to date. And there's just so much to learn in Java in software development. And if you haven't covered your fundamentals and you're learning framework after framework after framework, you're getting further and further away from being the best software developer that you could be. So, front end, that's why I don't really teach too much front end, because I've always had a problem with front end. You invest so much time learning this particular framework or library, and then you kind of, it changes. A couple months later, it's no longer hot. It's not being, no one's hiring in that because a better and newer and better framework came out. What are you going to do? Right now, you have to start learning again and go after it. So it's like, hopefully that's making sense what I'm saying, right? That's why you won't see much front end stuff on my website. I don't teach that as an effective way to land your first job. So Tristan is asking, Tirsit, sorry if I mispronounce your name, is asking, hello, when are you uploading tutorials on blockchain development? Right now, I don't have a plan to create a blockchain tutorial because I personally am learning that stuff myself. I learned how to create Ethereum contracts. I learned Solidity. I also learned Haskell for Cardano, I think I think Haskell is used in Polkadot. I'm not sure. But I'm learning this blockchain stuff myself first. And once I really master it, then I'll probably, and this is an ever-changing space. So right now you can learn through resources, buy these books that I recommended earlier in the video, make sure to check them out. And just, try to study the stuff yourself, right? But if you're a developer already, if you've taken my other courses in software development, creating your own cryptocurrency shouldn't be that difficult, especially with some of the tools that are available nowadays. Learn something else and change, okay? All right, so do you recommend applying for entry-level jobs after boot camp because the interview for IT is not a joke? My thing is boot camps they're not bad. All right, I like boot camps, but I have a problem with the fact that if they're going to teach you something in 4 months, what they do is, first of all, they firehouse you with front end, back end, middle tier web services. They teach you data structures, algorithms. They teach you databases and so on. They teach you Linux. They teach you GitHub. They teach you so many things. They firehose you with all of this information in 4 months. And if you're an entry-level person, most of that money is wasted because you won't be able to retain any of it, right? So what I try to teach is first learn SQL, master that first. It's an operational language. It's used in many companies. You can get a job. Land a job first by mastering that. And use some of the techniques that I talked about earlier in this video about how to shine your resume. And there are other career-related advice that I give on my YouTube channel. Use that advice, sparkle your resume, try to land a job, and then if you want, you can go to a boot camp because if you learn data structures, algorithms already, you learned a particular programming language like Python or JavaScript or Java, and you learned a little bit of databases, and you've been coding for the past 5, 6, 7 months, you have something to go on, right? Then go ahead, join that boot camp. It'll provide value. But if you haven't practiced enough coding, if you pass their entry level test, and they let you come in, you might not be ready if you didn't have enough practice beforehand. They're just going to fire hose you with information. It could honestly be intimidating because the kind of people that go to these boot camps have already struggled with software development. They may have tried, gone through reading books and completed other tutorials, so they may be a little ahead of you, and so they might complete that curriculum, whereas you may not be ready yet, right? So everyone has a different timeline. So try to do as much self-study yourself first before going into a curriculum. That's why I have this website. This is a self-study based site. All of my courses are self-study. You take your own time. I tell you the required amount of time you should be putting every day, which in my opinion, I say it all the time, 2 to 3 hours every single day for a couple of months to really get comfortable, right? So put in those hours first before you decide to go into a coding bootcamp if you need to, all right, or if you'd like to. Trash Mouse is saying, another great stream. Thank you, Trash Mouse. Yeah, now I'm learning HTML, CSS, and then maybe JavaScript only to get a little job. Yeah, okay. Can you share your thoughts on Big Data Developer and Spark Developer with Java? So I teach Spark on my curriculum on my website. I've got a course on Udemy as well on my website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. Spark is a beautiful technology. It's better than Hadoop. It can be connected with Hadoop. It's often used with Hadoop, the Hadoop file system. So files are being saved on HDFS, and then they can be linked to Spark. You can ingest those files and do all kinds of aggregates and aggregate queries. Spark is very fast. Elasticsearch is also a very, very powerful analytics engine. So if you learn Spark and Elasticsearch, you put that on your resume, that'll help improve your chances, especially in enterprise Java development, okay? Hello, sir. I was a Java programmer 22 years ago and about 20, okay. So Rajesh, I've already answered that. So let me scroll down. I don't know if I'm going through enough questions here. Waleed, C#, beautiful language. .NET, depending on what part of the world you're in. .NET might be more popular than Java, not sure. But in America and Canada, Java is very, very popular. And so is C#. I finished my BS, okay, but I don't feel software engineer, okay. So Preetham is saying he finished his BS and CS, but he doesn't want to be a software engineer. What are some other options? You can go into sales, software sales. You can work as a technical support analyst, a sales engineer. You can get into, you could be a BA, business analyst, requirement. You could work with requirements. You can work on the front office rather than the back office, deal with customer interfacing and so on. You can do that stuff. I mean, don't think that computer science degree is of no value. You've learned quite a bit, and use that to your advantage. But pick something that is a little less technical if you don't want to be a software developer. All right, let's see what else some people are saying. All right, so Jonathan is saying, just from the job postings I am seeing, it seems that the core skills to get started are SQL, Python, and some sort of reporting tool. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I teach, right? Do you think that's enough to get in? Yeah, it's enough to get in if you market yourself right. I've seen some really talented people that just, they can't market themselves right. Like, for example, look at Elon Musk, right? Why is he's like an attention whore. He's always writing stuff on Twitter and tweeting, and now he's going to be hosting Saturday Night Live. He's out there, he's marketing himself, and that sometimes you have to do that. You have to sparkle your resume, you have to learn about how to improve your resume. And I talk about some of those skills in this video, so rewind back and see some of the things that I have to say. Other people have had this question too. It's not just about all the skills that you know, and you have to market yourself right. You have to put the right stuff in your resume. And you need to figure out how I can differentiate myself from others. For example, blockchain is very hot right now, and it takes a day or two to create your own cryptocurrency. Just follow a tutorial online and create your own cryptocurrency and put that on your resume. All right. I had to repeat some of these things over and over, but Some people are asking the same questions. All right, let's see. Let me scroll a bit down because all right. Thank you, Storm. I completed BE Mechanical Engineering. Okay. I'm a clinical scientist. I want to transition in computer field. Currently, I'm studying Java and other languages. All right, so if you're a clinical scientist, my recommendation for you is to probably go into data side of things. Learn Python, Pandas, NumPy, scikit-learn. Get into the AI aspect of things, and work with data. I mean, a clinical scientist, I'm sure, there's so much data you could do so much fantastic stuff with. So that's probably what I would recommend for you. Careers, DevOps, and cloud without much coding. You need to know coding if you want to be in DevOps and cloud. You kind of need to know scripting, right? DevOps is a very technical role. All right, so I didn't even finish the entire course, to be honest, and got job as Java developer, and also I was in late 20s when I started coding. I just want to say thanks so much. I always feel thank you. Thank you very much. You don't owe me anything. Just owe yourself, dude. If you bought my course, that's more than enough for me. Thank you. What book do you recommend to start with blockchains? So, any really popular book, let's actually check online, right? Let's go to Amazon and type in blockchain. Let's go over some of the books that I am thinking of purchasing right now. So, I recommended Mastering Blockchain earlier, right? So definitely read that, Mastering Blockchain. Sorry, not Blockchain, Mastering Bitcoin by Andreas Antonopoulos. He goes into an incredible amount of detail about digital signatures, how they're formed, how is one block related to the other, how are stamps handled, how to deal with Bitcoin software operationally, right? How to install it on your computer. Goes over some of the code. How to create your own private wallets. So he goes over a lot of things, and those are fundamental things that you kind of have to understand anyway. He talks a lot about blockchain, proof by stake, proof by work. All these things the basics are covered in here. Second edition. Maybe there's a newer edition now. This is from 2017, but it's a fundamental book. It's really a Bible. I love it. And then Bitcoin Standard is also really good, right? You understand it at more of a higher level. This one is a little bit more higher level than Mastering Bitcoin, but they're both must-have books. All right. Oh, I can't wait for this. This is new. Mastering Bitcoin, Programming the Blockchain. So this is coming out on March 25th, 2021. It might already be out. I haven't read this, so this is great. I might just go ahead and purchase this right now. Mastering Ethereum. This is another awesome book by Andreas Antonopoulos. Talks about smart contracts and dApps. So there's tutorials online where you can learn how to make your own dApps, so how to make your own cryptocurrencies, and those are really high-level tutorials. And nowadays you could do that in like a day or two. It's very easy, but you have to understand how smart contracts work. So if you want to really build an effective smart cryptocurrency, going through Mastering Ethereum and make a ERC20 token of your own that does something different that doesn't exist yet. That's endless opportunity right there, right? Like DeFi is, it wasn't very popular like, last year or something, right? Or year before. NFTs are like, 4 or 5 months ago is when NFT talk really started. Before then, nobody was talking about NFTs or whatever. I don't know, 5, 7 months, I'm not sure. But they all came from, DeFi, NFTs, they came from Ethereum. So if you learn Ethereum, learn Solidity, learn the platform, how it works, it can be very beneficial for you. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. I need to perfect my basics about building apps and from scratch in Java, sys design, overall thinking, blah, names, okay. All right, I need to perfect my skills about building apps from scratch in Java, sys design, and overall thinking. Um, so, Madhav, do you mean that your coding skills are like your logic? You need to improve your logic skills? I'm not sure what the question is. How's fasting going? I said fasting is going pretty good. Thank you for asking. Me French, but in Montreal. 80% speak English. Claude, thank you. Thank you for joining. Video buffering, frozen image. Okay. Might be the network thing. I mean, hopefully the video has improved. So, Labonta was asking, hi, sir, do you have any videos step by step to make your own cryptocurrency or a book you can recommend? So I covered some of these books, but I might create a tutorial in the future. So Jerry was asking, which Oracle SQL certification do you recommend? I think it's 1Z0-071. Check my website for, check the course. I think I talk about the exact certification that Oracle SQL certification course covers. All right, I want to learn French, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Hi, MTS. Those that cannot afford to buy your courses, what is your advice for them? So it depends on where you're buying them. So my website is more expensive because it gives all the courses and it offers some extra stuff. Like, for example, if you if you complete all the courses, you have an opportunity to take my test. And if you pass that test, then I can help you get placed by blasting your resume off to my my group of recruiters that I have on LinkedIn. But if you just want to take the course, Udemy, most of my course, pretty much all my courses, I'd say about 75-80% of them are on Udemy. So you could take them there. Especially student, okay. I don't have a degree and I have had so much calls, interviews. It comes down to your knowledge and what you can do in it. Yes, Eugene, you're right. It really comes down to your knowledge and how good you are at marketing yourself. All right, so what else? Someone's asking, do we need SQL certification to get a SQL developer job? You don't need a SQL certification, but it just makes it a little easier for you to land the job if this is the first time if this is your first job. I would recommend first, just don't worry too much about the certification and stress about setting for the test or whatever. First, learn SQL and be operational with it, right? Learn how to write queries, create your own tables, design your own tables, query relationships. Study for the SQL exam as if you were supposed to take that exam, right? And master all the knowledge that I teach in the course, and then start applying, right? You might hear back from somebody, and you might not even need to get a certification. So it's not a requirement, to be honest. You don't really need a SQL certification. Companies don't really look for only that. There's so many other aspects they look for in your resume. And I talked about some of those aspects in this video, so make sure to rewind. And make sure to like this video, guys. I'm not seeing enough likes. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel to stay up to date. I'm going to be more, I'm going to try to be more present on this channel. I know I haven't created much content on this channel for the past month or two, but I'm definitely going to be coming on a lot more. And these are going to be live sessions because I feel like there's so much more I can offer by just speaking off the cuff and ideas that you guys throw at me. If you have a question, I could just spew it back at you and we can share knowledge together like this. All right, what else? So Vakar's asking, is email the only way to communicate with you if I have any questions? Yeah, I mean, that's the fastest way. I don't really give out my number because then I won't be able to do any work. Then you guys are going to be calling me all day on this. So it's better to just email me, and I try to get to all emails within 48 hours. Okay. Okay, I completed BE Mechanical Engineering. In 2020, I've completed your Java Udemy course. Any tips on how I can convince employer? Okay. All right, so I've already answered these questions, some of them. So I'm just gonna browse through these here. So Danielle, thank you. You said this is just I'm just gonna shill it out here. I took your DSNA, Data Structures and Algorithms course on Udemy, and I just wanted to say it was great and thank you. You saved me from having to take one of those complicated Ivy League MOOCs. You explained very well. Thank you very much. I just want to throw that comment out there to you guys. For those of you that haven't taken that Data Structures Algorithms course, I think you should. It's a great course. I worked very hard on building it. A lot of those data structures I hadn't visited for a while before creating that course, and I had to kind of, I learned them when I first got into tech, and then years and years after working in the industry, I wanted to create that course, and so I brought in industry relevant experience in that as well, along with relearning some of those old algorithms that I had forgotten, and I think it helped me explain things in an easier to understand manner, practically speaking. Hey man, I just wanted to say thank you for all the videos you make and the word you spread. God bless. Thank you, Royal Goat. All right, hi Imtiaz. As an Android developer, what technologies I have to master? So I don't really do too much mobile development, but it's not if you're a Java developer, you gotta know you have to have big data under your belt. AI is the next big thing. I mean, it's been there for a while now, but you gotta know AI technologies. You have to also expand your horizon, not just be in Java, but I also have a Python course. Learn Python, learn Pandas, learn NumPy. There's so many things you can learn, right? Good evening, Imtiaz Ahmad. I just wanted to say hi. Thank you, Joanne. Barbara Ali, Imtiaz. Okay, I've already answered that. All right, so Monu is asking, hi, I'm final year MCA student. I have taken the Python full stack developer due to pandemic situation. So you took some course at some university, I'm assuming. A trainer is not taking the classes properly, okay? So the trainer is not good. I don't know the proper route map. So here's the thing, if you're trying to get into Python full stack developer, obviously, I have a Python course. If you don't like the trainer in your university, it looks like you might be taking this in a university or some other program. But if what you need to learn first is Python, obviously, and then learn Django. If you want to be a full stack developer, you need to learn Django, which is a framework, web development framework for Python, and then of course databases. So I talk about databases. I talk about Python. I teach both of those courses on here. Django, you can just look on your own and learn that on your own. It's not going to be too difficult. There's tutorials all over the place. Just get a Django book. You don't have to rely on your university to teach you this stuff, guys. And learn, if you want to get into the AI aspect of it, learn Pandas and NumPy. I've got a Python data analytics course too. It's not just, I don't just have Python course. I actually, behind this, I haven't marketed this yet. But let me show you. There's a secret behind these courses. I don't even market that course on the homepage, and maybe I should. But I just wanted to leave that as a gift for those of the people that actually sign up. Behind this, there's an extra course that you get. It's like a 15-hour course on Python data analytics and visualization. So make sure to check that out. If you ever become a member, you'll have access to that course. Okay. I just didn't even find the need to market it here, to be honest. There might be another course or two behind this that is not even marketed. But lifetime members get access to those. All right, let's see what else you guys have to say. All right, so what do you think of WGU Master's Degree in Cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is huge. It's going to be, and that's actually that's probably a really good skill set to have, especially with the advent of blockchain and cryptocurrencies. You're in the right place. Cybersecurity is a great field to study. I'm answering for Shafiq. Uh, all right, so Gurbachan is asking, hello, sir. I have already learned SQL and Java, and now I need to learn Spring, HTML, and HTC. Okay. HCC, okay. So which course is... So I don't know if you've taken my Spring course. It's a pretty in-depth course. We talk about Hibernate. We talk about AOP. We talk about Spring security, all the different type of annotations that you need to learn. There is a lot of content in my Spring Boot course. We build an app from scratch, a project management tool that you can use to manage your projects, really. We talk about pie charts and graphs and how to incorporate that with JavaScript, within HTML, as a front-end Spring application. We talk about deployment, deploying into QA, how to deploy as a dev, deploy into QA, deploy into production as a Dockerized container. There's a lot of content in my Spring course, so Gurbachan, if you want to check that out, that's quite a bit of content that you're going to learn from there. It's on my site, so. All right, what else you guys have to say here? Let me scroll down. All right, so Raspili is saying, just finished full stack web developer course, studied everything for a month, but I don't think it's my course because I don't have a one course that's full stack. I cover in bits and pieces. So you may have, I don't know, did you go to a coding boot camp? It says you Java, okay, so you learned Java, you learned also C#, SQL, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Angular. That's a lot of content, dude. You learned Java, C#, SQL, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, okay. React, Angular. That's a whole lot of content. So you probably went to a boot camp, and now you're saying, now don't know how to continue, feeling not ready. Yeah, because they fire hosed you with all of this information. They teach you bits and pieces of each thing. That's not going to be enough. My recommendation is for you to hone into one of these areas and just master that. You learn Java and C#. I don't know why they would teach you both. They're two totally different paths, really. Just focus on the Java path. If you learn Java well, focus on Java. Take my SQL course again, take my Java course again, and start applying as a Java enterprise development. Take the Spring course. You have to learn React and Angular. I mean, those are web development frameworks, or libraries rather. Just ignore those for now. Just try to do something for the back end. Try to get a back end developer position. What about Informatica developer, career path and job opportunity? So Informatica is a popular ETL tool used for data migrations and stuff. And, that's a great tool. There's a lot of jobs in that, but it's still a product. I try to stay away from products. I like to stick with technologies that are transferable through any company in the world. And SQL, Sanjay Kumar is asking, it's a good way to share information. Even I did not know anything about computer. Okay, daily welfare, blah, blah, blah. And share discount. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjay. What about Visual Studio? So that's a .NET technology. It's either you become a Java developer or you become a .NET developer. They both have great demand in the industry. Now, the cool thing is if you learn Java really well, you can learn C# pretty well too. So, it's just the C# was actually a copy of Java, and Java copied a lot of components from C++. What are the best SQL certifications? So if you go to my website, you'll know which one is the best one. I have a gap in my IT career. Oracle SQL certification, by the way. I learned Salesforce. I have now 3 certifications. Okay. So, Dharmesh, Rana, you learned a lot. You said I have a gap in my IT career. Okay. Can I re-enter it? I was a Java developer having 10 plus years of experience, and I am now aging too. I learned Salesforce. I have now 3 certifications. Dharmesh, just don't focus on certifications now. You know, you had experience for 10 years in Java. Trust me, you can pick that up again. You have to have confidence in yourself and just learn that. It might take you a year, but utilize those skill sets that you already have and double down on them. And you shouldn't have a problem getting a job. So Walid is saying, kindly, can you say some of the SQL certification websites? So Oracle SQL certification, if you just Google, let's go to Oracle SQL certification. So 12C, Certified SQL. This is somebody else's course. But let me see here. You want to go to Academy, Oracle. And over here, they talk about the different types of certifications they have. All right. And just browse through the site. These are Java certifications. There's 1Z0-071. This is the certification that I teach in my course. 1Z0-071, Oracle Database SQL. And it helps you become an Oracle SQL Certified Associate. Okay? So this is really the fundamental exam to be a Oracle SQL Certified Developer, right? Here's a job title called Data Analyst or SQL Database Developer, to go from SQL to normal software developer like a backend dev. Don't worry too much about the titles. There's Data Engineer, Database Developer, Data Analyst, Database Reports Builder, and there's like so many different titles. PL SQL Developer. Just search a Database Developer or SQL Developer or Data Analyst or Data Engineer. These titles on the different job sites, and you're going to get hundreds of thousands of job options there, right? Look at all of them. There's so many jobs you can apply for in just this area alone. Also, I'm in high school. I actually completed all coding bad problems, so I'm good at those types of problems, but don't know what else I should learn. So code is saying, I'm in high school. I actually completed all the coding bad problems. Very good. Really proud of you. As a high school student, you completed all of those. You shouldn't have any problem learning any technology and getting into anything, really. It depends on what you're interested in. Since you know how to code well, just pick up a programming language and master it and try to get a job in that. Dharmesh Rana is saying, I have a gap in my career. Okay, Joe. Yeah, so Dharmesh, I already recommended that double down on the skills that you knew once, double down on them now, because Java is still popping. There's still plenty of jobs in Java. Learn that. You just have to upgrade your skill sets and learn the new libraries that are available within the Java ecosystem. Learn Spring. That's it. What language do you see getting more attention in the coming years? Royal is asking, what language do you see gaining more attention in the coming years? Java obviously is going to continue to grow. It's been the #1 language for years now. And then, of course, Python. These 2 languages. If blockchain takes off, which it has, Solidity is becoming very popular for Ethereum. But that's really a smart contract language. It's not really a programming language, so to speak. It's a domain-specific language. I learned Salesforce. I have now 3 certifications. Okay. So Dharmesh, I talked about this already. So make sure to check out my comments about that. So Operator Saleh is saying, hi, I just graduated with bachelor's in computer science. What do you suggest is the best path for me to take or courses? So I talked about my website, right? I talked about the paths that you can take. Right, these courses are available on Udemy as well. But make sure to check out the path. I organize it. I like to keep things simple, not complicated. Software development space is complicated as it is. 2 simple paths, just pick one. Do you have placement associates in Canada? No, I do not. I'm sorry. They're all in the US, really. Maybe I can reach out to some recruiters, but Not at this time, not in Canada, unfortunately. Mohe. But really, okay. Hi, Imtiaz as an Android developer. What technologies I have to master? Okay. So I already talked about that. Eugene. So Eugene is asking Imtiaz, do you attend high school in Ohio? You look like someone that went to WNHS. No, I went to high school in New Jersey, actually. Um, so Henry is asking, challenges you don't respond to emails when we ask questions about your course. So I think I answer most of the emails. Again, I get so many emails and sometimes they can be missed. So if I miss an email, please send it again and I'll try to get to it. I usually ask for like a 48-hour time window for me to get back to you because there's so many emails that I get every day. So I apologize if I missed your email. Please send it again and I'll try to answer it. Henry, that's a response to your question. Courses are great. Okay. MTS, your courses are great. And thank you for sharing Coding Bad Site. So, Sai, you're asking, what is a course that I took for coding questions? I didn't really take a course. Again, for those of you that don't know, I'm a accounting major. I don't have a computer science degree, so I had to learn this stuff on my own. And back then, there was no real, YouTube was not even much of a thing. So I had to learn stuff on my own. I read through the book called Head First Java, the first edition. I read through Effective Java, the first edition. Those two books were really powerful. First read Head First Java, and then Effective Java. And that's what I did. That was my approach to learning software development back then. What's the future of PHP? PHP is a very popular programming language, and it's because of WordPress. And WordPress is still popping. There's still so many jobs in WordPress, but I don't know too much about PHP. Just stopped by to say thanks. Your strategy helped me get an analyst job, and I'm moving to data scientist next year. Oh, thank you so much. That's awesome. All right, as a student in high school, what mindset should I adopt in order to be successful as an aspiring software developer? As a student in high school, what mindset should I adopt in order to be successful as an aspiring software developer? That's a really deep and loaded question, Ricky. So what mindset should you adopt? This is, you need to adopt, there's two kinds of people. There's one that gets, they see a problem and they become worried about the problem and they only think about the problem. And then there's two that see a problem and they look at it as an opportunity. And that's the kind of person I want you to be, and just focus on the go-getter mindset, be really confident. No one is perfect in this space. Every developer out there that you can think of sucks as a software developer. Trust me, there is bad code out there. Don't single yourself out thinking that you're not a good coder, because there's a lot of bad code out there in some of the best companies in the world, because projects have deadlines and people are forced to meet those deadlines, and they take shortcuts, they take a lot of copy-paste code. There's a lot of garbage out there, all right? So don't be so hard on yourself thinking that you're not good enough or having the imposter syndrome. I've created videos on my YouTube channel about imposter syndrome, so make sure to check those out. Just be confident, work hard, know your stuff, and try to be the best developer you can be. That's the kind of mindset I would recommend. So Pratham is asking, are your Udemy courses as updated as your website ones? Yes. Yeah, they're the same, pretty much, almost. All right, so I'm getting some bots here trying to spam me. Sanitizer, I don't know what that is. Hi, sir, your training job is guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, because if you don't pass the test, I can't do anything, right? You have to pass my entry level, not entry level, but my SQL test and the Java test. And if you complete all my courses and you don't pass that test, I can't guarantee anything because I'm not going to market your profile if you're not qualified, right? That would destroy my relationship with my recruiters. I have a gap in my IT career. Can I re-enter? Yeah, so Dharmesh, I told you, just double down on Java. I'll learn sales, so okay. I'm only just now able to join the webinar. Is this being recorded? Yeah. So Patrick, this is recorded. This is a recorded webinar. You could check it out when we're done here. And we're really pushing time here, but I'm about to wrap up soon. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm not seeing enough likes. 2 people have disliked this video so far. I hope I didn't say anything that offended anybody. But please make sure to like this video. It really helps the channel. What courses track do you have on Udemy? So the same courses that are on my website, they're just organized differently on my website. There's more courses on my website than there are on Udemy, of course. Udemy has some of my top courses, but there's 2 or 3 courses that I don't have on Udemy that are really hot, in my opinion. You can take them on my website if you'd like. Is the job title called Data Analyst or SQL Database Developer? So those are the database developer, SQL Analyst, database programmer, reports builder, business analyst, data engineer. Those are the kind of jobs you can search for. Those are that's what you can land a job in quickly if you master SQL. All right, so yeah, so will this streaming session be saved? Yes, it will. It'll be watchable on YouTube. So Ramit is asking, speaking of certifications, do completing the Udemy courses certifications help at all in regards to adding them to resumes? You can certainly add them to resumes, to your resume. There's no harm in that. On your LinkedIn profile, again, when you don't question yourself whether you should be, are you over marketing yourself? Don't be shy of that. Over market the hell out of yourself, okay? Because that's what it takes. You can't be shy about this stuff. You have to hype yourself out. You have to just get yourself out there. Put it on your resume, right? Any certification you have, just put it on your resume. Because recruiters are, in many cases, the recruiters just don't. They don't have the, I guess, the experience or the appreciation for what it takes to be a software developer, and they might just find somebody else's resume that has like 5 different certifications better than you, even though, you're a much better developer, but they're like, this guy has 5 certifications, let's pass this over, so. All right, so Sayed is saying, hi, Imtiaz. First of all, I want to say your teaching style is really good. Keep going. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. All right, so Matthew is saying, okay, excellent mentoring. Thank you. I'm pretty sure you're taking the time out to, okay. All right, so Tommy is saying, I am about to enter a boot camp that will take 6 months. So my question is, what can I do to on the side to make sure I get hired? So Tammy, 6-month boot camp is a good amount of time, and what could you do on the side? You really won't have much time to do anything on the side during this 6 months. I recommend you put your entire, as much time outside of your boot camp studying everything that you're learning in it. When you get home, continue to study at night of what you learned in that boot camp, because that's a full-time thing. It's not even a full-time, that's 2 jobs in one. 6-month boot camp is that 6 months should be entirely devoted to that boot camp, right? I wouldn't recommend you taking even my course during that. I mean, you can take it if, let's say, there's a section that they teach SQL on, or they teach Java in, or whatever. Feel free to take some of my courses, but I really want you to, I don't want you to lose that money that you invested in that 6-month boot camp, all right? Because the last thing you want is you graduate out of that boot camp and you were fire hosed with so much information that you don't remember anything because you were learning from too many different places. I often recommend to learn on your own first, learn self-paced, take courses on my website, take other courses, and get as much knowledge as you can first, get comfortable coding for a couple of months, and then go into a boot camp if you would like. But now that you're starting it, you really want to focus on that. Otherwise, your money will go to waste, right? Java is so hard to learn. Any tips? So Fode, Java is hard to learn. Anything new is hard to learn. It's like, when you're first learning how to read as a baby, you first have to figure out how to read a word by figuring out what this letter means, and how to put those words, letters and consonants together to form a word. And then you have to figure out how to put two words together, compound words, and then sentences, and then you learn how to write paragraphs and then books. So you start from scratch in software development. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be hard, right? So that's just what is going to be required. It's going to require work. But trust me, it's a very rewarding experience once you get there. A lot of people that have taken my Java courses, I'm not trying to shill here, but might as well, I guess, have really been successful with my courses. So maybe you want to give them a shot. Try it out. All right, different, okay. So I was saying your videos are super useful, and I love to boost, okay. I love the boost your confidence video that you made. I'm planning on taking acting classes. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I used to be socially very unfit, I would say. Very uncomfortable socially, like ordering pizza over the phone or something. I was like really, and then I started realizing it's not about, I guess you grow as a person over time, but socially, one of the fastest ways to shake off that shyness is to take an acting class. You get thrown in the middle of doing crazy stuff, like screaming on top of your lungs and cursing. That's part of acting school, and if you take that, it'll really shake off that reservedness of yourself. You're just not gonna give a crap after taking an acting class, and that's what you sometimes need to get through to shake off that shyness. Okay. So Verodia is saying, I have not touched Java for some years. Now want to master it. What's the best way? So if you've been following along, maybe check out my courses. Check out what other people are saying about those courses. Okay. So Sohaib, you're saying, okay, I'm enrolled in your courses, but I keep juggling if I should do college work or follow your course. Also, please share some productivity tips as it is really hard to study and focus. So Sohaib, you have to focus on one thing at a time. You can't juggle multiple things. This whole concept of multitasking is such a stupid concept. There's no such thing as multitasking. No one can do two tasks at the same time. Even your computer processor is not capable of doing that. It works on one task, works on another, at one task at a time. The time is shared across many tasks. It's not like it's not multi-threaded, so to speak, in the way that most people think multi-threaded works. It's actually a little time slot in here, a little time slot is devoted to this task, a little time slot is devoted to this task. It's really like procedural in that. And so same thing with our brains. Like we have to do it one thing, we have to take it one step at a time, learn one thing at a time, okay? So if you're in school right now, you gotta focus on one damn thing. Just focus on that. And then let's say you come across, you have some free time, you finish your exams, you have spring break, then focus on some other task, right? Or if you have a weekend where you have nothing to do, then you can work on this. But definitely focus on your school. Don't spread yourself out too thin by trying to grab too much information. That's not going to be healthy to grow in that kind of environment. So Mark is saying, can you speak a little bit about WordPress theme and plugin development as well as PHP in 2021? I don't know too much about PHP. Actually, I don't know too much about WordPress either. So that's something you might want to just research on your own. Okay. So Fode is saying C is harder, and that is the language that is being taught at my university. So that's still, it's great that you're learning C. You're closer to the machine, so to speak. So you're learning it at a much more granular level. So that's okay. Go through that struggle, because after this, learning Java is going to be much, much easier. All right. So Fode is saying, as a hobby, I work on cars. How to succeed in dev if my domain is automotive mechanic? So if your hobby is to fix cars, and if that's what you like to do and enjoy doing, then stick to that and try to grow that as a business, rather than trying to learn something that you don't really enjoy. I mean, why don't you try coding for a month? And if you enjoy that, then sure, go for it. But if you don't enjoy it, it's going to be harder for you to get really good at it, right? So Joe is asking again, will this stream be watchable later on YouTube channel? Yes, it will be. I've taken your Java and Spring courses and really enjoyed them. Thank you. But data science, AI, and ML are in. So is it going to be bad for my career if I stick to Java, and Java takes a long time to master? Well, AI and ML takes a long time to master too. You really got to pick. They're both really rewarding careers, to be honest. Do one thing at a time. Just focus on one thing, get a job in that field, and then on the weekends, you can study and learn other stuff, okay? So Heather is asking, how did you start your career in the tech field? So you can check out some of my other videos where I talk about that. So Persian is asking, is React Native better than Swift or making iOS apps? The benefit of React Native rather, is that you can code for multiple devices. You can make a website, you can make a mobile app on iPhone, on Android, on an iPad or any tablet. So it does kind of spread your development opportunities if you learn React Native. But if you really want to make a production grade application, and you want to focus on one, Swift is great for iPhone development if you just want to make an iPhone app. React Native, there are some quirks that you have to worry about. A particular functionality might work great on Android, but it's falling short on an iPhone or an iPad. And there's just, it's getting better as a framework, but there's still going to be quirks and, things you're going to have to get, things get kind of messy with that. And still, you might have to employ some native components that are not in React Native. They might just be, in Swift. You might have to pull out Swift and deploy that application as well with React.js or React Native. So, I prefer, I just prefer, if you're going to learn something, focus on the actual product. If it's Python, if it's iPhone, just focus on building iPhone apps. Or if you want to stay in the Apple space, focus on the Apple language, which is Swift. And there's plenty of opportunities in that. And with Android, there's plenty of opportunities with Android. So React Native is a fancy tool to know. But when you really want to get some real production grade application put in, you're gonna need to go to the actual native language of that device. All right, I'm just my name. Okay. So Joey's saying you should start a gym series too. Yeah, I wish I could. Right? I got a little pump going on there. But yeah, I mean, that's not something that I'm interested in doing. I'm just okay. So Femi is asking, hi Imtiaz, could you say something about starting a new job as a lead developer? What skills are needed? So again, I'm going to refer to the book called The First 90 Days. Actually, let's Google that book. first 90 days. Here's a book. The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. This is an excellent, excellent book. All right, proven strategies for getting up to speed faster and smarter. And it's all about asking questions, asking the right questions. And, this is really every single person that is looking to switch to a new job or should read this book. All right, honestly, every single person that has a job right now should be reading this book because it helps you understand what it takes and what you need to do to excel in a very rapid manner in terms of the amount of knowledge that you can acquire in a new company with new people in a new environment. It's a fantastic book. I recommend you check it out, okay? So Femi, that's my response to you. So Dharmesh, you're asking about your course on Tableau. It's a great course. My brother actually created that course. It's on my website. You can check it out. So Salim Hori is asking, please, Imtiaz, do you think that Spring and Angular market is saturated? Well, there's so many jobs out there and not enough candidates, not enough qualified candidates. So you have to figure out how to differentiate yourself. And I talked about some of the strategies earlier in this video. So please check some of the strategies out. Rewind this video if you have to, and go through that. You really have to differentiate yourself. It doesn't matter how saturated a given market is, even though there's plenty of new jobs coming in spring. So don't worry about it being a saturated market. You will find a place if you deserve it. You really have to know how to market your resume. All right, so Manish is asking, hi Imtiaz, where can I learn the Spring Boot related technologies like batch, security, AOP, and other related stuff? So check my website, jobreadyprogrammer.com. I have a Spring Framework course. I talked about this earlier in this video, so make sure to check that out. Rewind this video if you have to. We build an end-to-end application where we go over Spring Security, Spring AOP. I don't talk about Spring Batch in that video because Spring Batch, in my opinion, is kind of an older technology. We've got a lot of big data technologies now that make it easier, like, for example, Spark or Elasticsearch. And Spring Batch is, batch framework, and that's not something that's hard to learn on your own. First, you really got to understand the fundamental principles of Spring and then learn all the annotations, learn how the difference between components scanning works and different services. What's the difference between a services annotation component? Those sort of things. How to put together an application, how to deploy it to the cloud, how to deploy it in QA, how to deploy it in production, how to handle property files, how to incorporate testing in your Spring application. Those things are more important, and I teach that in that Spring Framework course. So make sure to check that out. Can you talk about your Tableau course, please? Tableau, let me just go to the site here. So my brother, his name is Waqar Ahmad. He's the creator of this course, and he did a fantastic job. So he talks about connecting data sources, navigating the interface, dimensions, measures, discrete, continuous variables, data sources, line charts, geographical views and dashboards, and advanced concepts for the brave. There's so much stuff. So check that out on my curriculum if you want. That'll give you more detail. All right. Yeah, so some people are talking about Tableau. I've got a course on that. My brother created that course. It's on the website. Okay. So account 630 is saying, is there any company where I can volunteer for free as a SQL developer after this course? I would recommend create your profile on Upwork or on freelance.org and give a ridiculously low rate and see what people say. You're going to get hired. You're going to get jobs. Okay? Just market yourself right, obviously. but you will find opportunities there. Do you think spring will stay longer? Yeah, I mean, spring is here to stay. Um, spring is spring is enterprise Java basically, and so the thing is with enterprise, things move slower in these banks and financial institutions. If you work in enterprise development, things move a lot slower. And if they have an application that's been running fine for 10 years, they're only going to upgrade the Spring to, let's say, the latest version of Spring. They're not going to move to a new system. And new apps are probably not going to, they might still stick with Spring because of the network effects that Spring has already generated. And there's so many people know how to use Spring, and there's so many jobs in Spring. So it's going to be a hard technology to replace, really. Something needs to be drastically better for it to replace something else. So Ali's saying, how can I become a software developer without going to college as self-taught? So you have to. I would recommend you go to college, please, because it increases your chances of landing a job as a software developer. Because then you're competing with people that already have software that may have already finished a bachelor's degree. And so if you have that opportunity right now, if you're young, take that opportunity. All right, guys, so we're running out of time. This ended up being longer than I had hoped, but I'm gonna be doing more live sessions like this. So please write in the comments below of this video. This is just a quick chat, but actually once this video is over, leave your comments in the video below, and I'll try to get to those comments and answer any questions that we missed, or maybe on the next live stream we'll talk about some of the stuff that I missed in this video. But hopefully it was helpful. I'd really like to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like this video. It really helps. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in another live stream. Thank you. Bye.